You have to stay home while we go on our family trip because it's more fun without anyone else there. My mother-in-law said happily on the phone. I might bring you back a souvenir if I remember. I was supposed to go on this trip with my in-laws and my husband, but now they were leaving me behind. Ever since I married her son, my mother-in-law, who really loves him, never misses a chance to say something mean or bother me. Staying home might be a problem, I said back, but my mother-in-law just laughed like she was making fun of me. Is it a problem for you? Just think of it as punishment for not doing what I say. Then she hung up. It's not a problem for me, it's a problem for you guys, right? My name is Jessica, and I'm 30 years old. I do housework and work part-time at the local supermarket. It's been 3 years since I married my husband, Mike, who used to work with me. Even though we worked in different parts of the company, we talked a lot before we started dating. What really brought Mike and me closer together was a party at the end of the year at our office. It was a big gathering with people from different departments. Luckily, I ended up sitting next to Mike. Since we were already friends, we talked easily. At one point, Mike had to leave for the restroom, and I was left alone. That's when a boss from another department, who had been drinking a lot, started bothering me, trying to get me to drink more. I didn't know what to do because he was a boss I didn't know well. Just when I was feeling uncomfortable, Mike came back. He saw what was happening and calmly took the boss away to another table. When Mike came back to our table, he asked if I was okay and joked about how the boss couldn't handle his alcohol. That's when I started seeing Mike in a new way, and I confessed that I had feelings for him. That's how our relationship started. Things went smoothly from there, and we got married 3 years ago. Even though we don't have kids yet, our marriage is strong and happy. Even though Mike and I are happily married, there's one big problem. My mother-in-law, who we're currently living with, when we first got married, we had our own apartment, but there was a fire in the building next to ours, and our place got flooded with water from the firefighting efforts. We had to leave because our apartment wasn't safe to live in anymore. We didn't know where to go, but Mike's mom offered for us to stay with them. We were thankful for the help and moved in with them. But things got difficult after we moved in. My mother-in-law, who already made mean comments sometimes because she loves Mike a lot, started nagging me more often. One weekend, for example, I had finished all the chores and was relaxing with a cup of coffee in the living room. When my mother-in-law came home, she started bustling around the house. Then she came up to me and said, "Jessica, you're not cleaning properly. You need to spend more time on it, and be thankful for your hard-working husband. As his wife, it's your job to support him. I can't believe you can't even do that much. If you're not happy, then you should leave right now." Honestly, I felt frustrated thinking, here we go again. My mother-in-law constantly criticized me, and it seemed like it happened almost every day. I figured the only reason she agreed to let us stay with them was because she wanted to be close to her son, Mike, again. My presence as his wife probably just annoyed her. "Mom, please don't be so hard on Jessica," Mike stepped in. "But there's some truth to what you're saying. Even though she works part-time, she shouldn't slack off on chores." Mike often took his mom's side, which sometimes made me wish he'd support me more as his wife. I never meant to neglect the housework. Even though I work 4 days a week, I always make sure to take care of our home and family of 4, even when I'm not feeling well. On the other hand, my mother-in-law, who's a homemaker, spends most of her time going out and having fun. Since we live in her house, I couldn't complain openly. I just try to be patient in this uncomfortable situation. Then one day, something unexpected happened. Mike suggested that we go on a trip, just the two of us. "Why don't we go to a spa resort next month? The busy season at work is over, and I need to use up some of my annual leave. I thought it would be nice for us to relax somewhere." A spa sounds amazing. I haven't scheduled any work shifts for next month yet, so I can take time off, I told Mike. After talking it over, we decided to go on a 2-day spa trip in the middle of next month. Since we planned to go during the week, we expected to have a peaceful and unhurried time together. I was thrilled about the trip and couldn't contain my excitement. Whenever I had a moment, I found myself researching our destination. Just as I was getting ready to book our stay, my mother-in-law said something surprising. "Jessica, I heard you and Mike are going on a trip. Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. Well, I stuttered, worried about how she might react. Then she said exactly what I feared she would. "Next month is my husband's and my anniversary. I was thinking of celebrating with a family trip. A fancy hotel would be nice." I really didn't want to go on a trip with my mother-in-law. Mike and I were planning on going by ourselves this time. How about we all go together next time? I suggested, hoping to compromise. But my mother-in-law wasn't having it. It won't be the same if it's not this time. It's our anniversary celebration. Just as I was about to respond, Mike walked in from work. Welcome home, Mike. We were just talking about the trip, my mother-in-law said enthusiastically. Oh, I'm excited, Mike said, seeming to agree with his mom. I wondered how she found out about the trip, but it seemed like Mike might have told her. Mike noticed my look and seemed a bit uneasy. Mom's really excited, so let's postpone our trip for another time. It'll be more fun if we all go together, Mike suggested. With Mike and his dad agreeing, I couldn't refuse going on the trip with all of us. Okay, next time of just BS, I promise, Mike said, looking relieved when I reluctantly agreed. Even though I wasn't happy about how the trip turned out, there wasn't much I could do about it now. At least I decided I'd be the one to pick the places we visit and the food we try. So I took charge of booking hotels and planning our sightseeing. Then came the day of the trip. I had packed everything the day before, so the plan was to wake up an hour before leaving, enjoy breakfast, and then head out. When my alarm went off, I stretched and called out for Mike, noticing he wasn't beside me. Then it hit me, he wasn't anywhere in the house. Could it be? I dialed Mike's cell phone, but there was no answer. When I called my mother-in-law's phone, she picked up right away. Oh, Jessica dear, what's up? Mike can't talk right now because he's driving. Where are you guys? I asked, feeling a sinking sensation. My mother-in-law responded casually, isn't it obvious? We're on a family vacation. It wouldn't be a proper family trip with an outsider like you, so you'll have to stay home. Maybe we'll bring you back a souvenir if we remember. I could hear the triumph in her voice. Stay at home? That's going to be a problem, I told my mother-in-law, but she just laughed mockingly. Oh, is it a problem for you? Just see it as punishment for not doing what I say. Then she hung up abruptly. I covered my face with my hands and shook my shoulders, but instead of crying, I burst out laughing. Well, they better enjoy their trip. They'll regret leaving me behind. I quickly went online and booked a nice hotel in the tourist spot we were supposed to visit today. Then I made a reservation at a restaurant where I could enjoy a delicious dinner, just for myself. After quickly getting ready and having breakfast, I felt ready to have some fun. All right, time for a good time, I said to myself as I grabbed my luggage and hopped on the train. I had done a lot of research on different tourist spots, and I was determined to have a vacation. It's a small tourist spot, so I might bump into Mike and my in-laws, but I don't care. They're the ones who messed up. I thought as the train approached our destination. From now on, I'm going to forget about my mother-in-law and Mike and just enjoy myself, I decided as I stepped off the train. I visited a cute boutique, had tea at a trendy cafe, and chatted with locals, thoroughly enjoying my solo adventure. As the day turned into night, it was time to check into the hotel I had booked, one of the top luxury hotels in the area. I felt like I needed to do something drastic like this to rejuvenate myself. As I walked towards the hotel's check-in counter, I heard a woman's voice causing a scene. Why can't we stay here? We're willing to pay. When I looked closer, I realized it was my mother-in-law causing the disturbance. Of course, they wouldn't be allowed to stay there because this wasn't the hotel I had booked for the four of us. From a safe distance, I saw Mike spotting me and calling out, Hey, Jessica, what's going on? We couldn't stay at the hotel you booked, so we have to find another one, but they're full. He came towards me, looking a bit angry, followed by my mother-in-law who seemed furious. Well, that's what happens when the person who booked the hotel isn't here to check in. It's a security rule. I did warn you, I said calmly. At that moment, they seemed to realize their mistake and exchanged surprised glances. Just as they were about to cause more trouble, hotel staff rushed over. It was quite funny to watch my mother-in-law being escorted out of the hotel, gently but firmly, by the staff. Remember this, we will stay in a place far more luxurious than this hotel, my mother-in-law exclaimed before she and Mike left. Feeling somewhat relieved, I proceeded with my check-in, leaving them without accommodation. Once I completed the check-in process, I was shown to my room. The clean and luxurious decor made me feel like I was in a dream. After settling my luggage, I decided to explore the hotel. After wandering around for a bit, I returned to the lobby. More guests were arriving. I sat on the sofa and zoned out for a while when two young women sat down next to me. They seemed excited, chatting about their impressions of the hotel. Their conversation quickly turned interesting. "Hey, did you hear about that hotel near the station? There's a really creepy rumor about it. They say if you stay in a second-floor room, you start hearing things that aren't there and your stuff gets stolen. And even worse, there was a case where someone died, and nobody knows who did it. We're so lucky we're staying here, right? Do you think it's true? But why hasn't anyone been arrested? I mean, wouldn't you call the police if something like that happened?" "Well, there are rumors that even the hotel staff might be involved. It's so scary. What a dangerous place." When I checked the time, I realized it was almost time for my dinner reservation. I quickly got up and hurried to the restaurant. Ah, the meal was so satisfying. After dinner, I returned to the hotel, took a relaxing bath, changed into my pajamas, and settled in to watch TV. That's when my phone rang. "Hello. We found a hotel to stay in, and it's really nice. It's a shame you're not here with us. But don't worry, we'll enjoy it twice as much for you," my mother-in-law said cheerfully. "Oh, is that so? Well, you're lucky to find a place at the last minute," I replied casually. "Isn't it? It's quiet and relaxing here because there aren't many other guests around. Plus, it's so close to the tourist spot, and the hotel is gorgeous." "I wonder why that is," my mother-in-law went on. That's when it hit me. Could it be the hotel near the station? "Yes, that's the one. Why do you ask?" she responded. I remembered the unsettling story I had heard about the hotel's bad reputation in the lobby before dinner. "I think you should leave," I warned my mother-in-law. But she just laughed off my concern. "Are you jealous that we found a nice place to stay? Well then, too bad for you. Bye." Once again, my mother-in-law ended the call without giving me a chance to respond. I didn't bother calling her back. I had given my advice, and that was enough. I switched off my phone. I didn't want my relaxation to be interrupted any further. I spent the rest of the evening leisurely and drifted off into a peaceful sleep. The next day, after checking out of the hotel, I visited the tourist spots I had missed the day before. I returned home as the sun was setting, feeling content. As I approached the house, I noticed light leaking out from the windows, indicating that the three of them had already returned home. "I'm back." I announced my arrival in my usual tone as I opened the door. As I entered the living room, all three of them started talking at once, creating a commotion. I was taken aback but managed to calm them down. Then my mother-in-law began recounting the incident from the previous night. After they had all gone to bed, they heard sounds of wrestling and someone entering the room. Paralyzed with fear, my mother-in-law stayed in bed quietly while the intruder seemed to roam around the room for about 10 minutes before leaving without a sound. Feeling relieved, my mother-in-law eventually fell back asleep, only to wake up the next morning to find that all their belongings, including wallets and smartphones that were left on the desk, were gone. The only things left were the coin pouch and key holder that Mike had kept in his jacket's inside pocket. In a panic, they rushed to inform the hotel staff, only to be told, "You still need to pay for the room." Shockingly, the hotel staff didn't even call the police. Feeling helpless, the troubled trio used a coins mic to make a call from a public phone to a nearby relative, pleading for help. Luckily, the relatives arrived swiftly, covering the hotel charges and arranging for their safe return home. They promised to report the incident to the police soon. However, their frustration turned towards me. "If only you had warned us more seriously to leave, we wouldn't have ended up in this mess," my mother-in-law scolded. "That's right, Jessica, you bear some responsibility for this incident. What are you going to do about it?" Mike added, joining in with his mother's scolding. But if my in-laws hadn't left me behind to go on their trip, none of this would have happened in the first place. "I did warn you, didn't I?" I responded honestly. Mike's face went pale. "Shut up. You're just the wife. Don't get cheeky. We're getting a divorce. I can't put up with you anymore." I was stunned into silence. I quietly went to our bedroom, retrieved something from the cabinet, and returned to the living room to show it to Mike. "Divorce? Fine by me. I don't need a husband who won't stand up for his mistreated wife," I declared firmly. Mike's face went pale. What I had brought out were the divorce papers I had asked a lawyer to prepare. I had been getting ready for this possibility. "Maybe we should take some time to think about it," Mike stammered, but my mother-in-law saw an opportunity to push Mike towards the divorce. You should just get rid of such a terrible wife now. Your mom will find you someone better, he urged. Unable to go against his mother's wishes, Mike eventually agreed to the divorce. Well then, goodbye. Please enjoy your life with your beloved family, he said, breaking down. Ignoring Mike's emotional state, I left the house. Later, through my lawyer, I submitted the divorce papers, and the divorce was finalized. Despite Mike's attempts to reconcile, I ignored them all. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law, who had succeeded in getting rid of me, seemed happy for a while, but her joy didn't last long. The news of the divorce and the end of their living together spread throughout the neighborhood, and people who enjoyed gossiping quickly connected it to my mother-in-law's mistreatment of me, revealing her unpleasant nature. She began to face judgmental stares from those around her, and it seemed that finding a new wife for Mike was no longer a priority. I returned to my hometown and was able to find a new job thanks to a friend's recommendation. After everything I've been through, I have my fill of marriage for now. I plan to